Keir Starmer, born on September 2nd, 1962, in Southwark, London, is one of the most prominent political figures in the United Kingdom today. His journey from a modest upbringing to becoming the leader of the Labour Party is one marked by personal determination, legal brilliance, and increasingly, political controversy. As of 2025, Starmer's leadership has sparked intense debate over free speech, personal freedoms, and the growing divide between the UK's democratic institutions and the pressures of global influence. To understand the rise of Starmer, it is essential to dive deep into his life, career, and the ideological currents shaping his actions. Keir Starmer grew up in a working-class family. His father, Rod Starmer, was a toolmaker, and his mother, Josephine, was a nurse. Both parents were staunchly Labour supporters, and the values of hard work and social justice deeply influenced Keir. Raised in a family that valued education, he excelled academically from a young age, and his intellect quickly became apparent. He attended the prestigious Reigate Grammar School before going on to study law at Leeds University, where he earned a bachelor's degree in 1985. His academic prowess earned him a Bachelor of Civil Law from Oxford University, a degree that would prove pivotal in his future career. After completing his education, Starmer worked for Liberty, the civil rights organization, before joining Doughty Street Chambers, where he specialized in human rights and public law. Starmer's legal career saw him rising through the ranks quickly, gaining a reputation for his meticulous work and integrity. His legal expertise was brought to national attention in 2008, when he was appointed as Queen's Counsel. This position marked him as one of the top barristers in the UK, and his legal philosophy was rooted in the belief that law should protect the vulnerable and ensure justice for all citizens. His work with Liberty had already shaped his worldview, emphasizing the importance of safeguarding individual freedoms, particularly in a time when civil liberties seemed increasingly under threat. In 2014, Starmer's legal career reached a new pinnacle when he was appointed as the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP. His tenure as DPP was marked by his commitment to ensuring that the law was applied fairly and justly, but also with a view to modernizing the legal system. However, it was his involvement in several high-profile cases, including the investigation into Jimmy Savile's crimes and the prosecution of Rolf Harris, that brought him under the spotlight. Starmer was praised for his efforts in seeking justice for victims of sexual abuse. But his time as DPP was not without controversy. Some criticized his handling of cases and the perception that certain prosecutions were politically motivated or aimed at maintaining public favor rather than ensuring impartial justice. Despite these challenges, Starmer's career flourished, and in 2015, after the sudden resignation of Ed Miliband, he was invited to run for Labour's Member of Parliament MP seat in Holborn and St Pancras. Starmer won with ease, entering Parliament with a clear mandate. His rise in the Labour Party was swift, and he quickly became known for his sharp legal mind, his dedication to progressive values, and his ability to debate with intellectual rigor. In 2020, following Jeremy Corbyn's resignation, Starmer won the leadership of the Labour Party, securing his position with overwhelming support. His campaign for leader was built on promises of unity, competence, and a fresh approach to Labour's policies. His rise to power came at a critical time for the UK, as the country grappled with the aftermath of Brexit, the growing influence of right-wing politics, and rising concerns about the erosion of civil liberties in the face of increasing state surveillance. Under Starmer's leadership, Labour shifted significantly, distancing itself from the hard left ideals that had characterised Corbyn's tenure. he began advocating for a more centrist, pragmatic approach to politics, and his leadership style was often described as calm, composed and analytical. He sought to rebuild Labour as the party of moderation, aiming to appeal to voters who had been alienated by Corbyn's socialist agenda. However, this shift was not without its critics. Many of the party's more left-wing members saw Starmer's leadership as a betrayal of the party's core principles, accusing him of abandoning the working class and failing to address the systemic issues that had led to Labour's electoral defeats. One of the most significant developments during Starmer's leadership has been his approach to free speech and the regulation of media. Over the past few years, Starmer has pushed for stronger controls on online speech and the regulation of platforms like Twitter and Facebook, claiming that the rise of hate speech, misinformation, and extremism poses a threat to the fabric of society. While many agree that these platforms have been used to spread harmful content, Starmer's proposals have sparked a fierce debate about the balance between free speech and public safety. Critics argue that his approach risks censorship and could lead to the silencing of dissenting voices, particularly those who challenge the establishment or hold unpopular opinions. Starmer's stance on free speech became a rallying point for his critics, with some accusing him of favoring a globalist agenda that seeks to stifle individual freedoms and undermine the democratic principle of open discourse. His supporters, on the other hand, argue that his proposals are necessary in a world where the spread of dangerous rhetoric can have real-world consequences, particularly in the context of the ongoing culture wars in the UK. Many believe that his drive to regulate speech is a natural response to the challenges of modern politics, but it also highlights a growing tension between freedom and security in a post-Brexit, post-pandemic world. Some have even gone as far as to say that free speech is dead in the UK under Starmer's regime, citing recent actions taken by his government to ban protests, censor online content, and restrict certain forms of public expression. Critics argue that these moves are part of a broader global effort to control not just the media, but the very way in which people think and communicate. They claim that Starmer's policies reflect a growing shift towards authoritarianism, where state control takes precedence over individual rights. Keir Starmer's religious background is another area of interest that adds depth to his public persona. Although he has largely kept his personal beliefs private, it is known that he was raised in a Church of England family. His father's Labour roots and his mother's Catholic background had a significant influence on his views, but he has rarely spoken about his religion in public. Some speculate that his upbringing in a church-going family contributed to his belief in social justice, human rights, and the need to protect the vulnerable. However, his more secular and pragmatic approach to politics suggests that he may not be as personally invested in religion as some of his political counterparts. Still, his upbringing in a family rooted in public service and faith undoubtedly shaped his views on social responsibility and the role of government. Despite his religious background, Starmer's policies and actions often seem more driven by political pragmatism than personal ideology. His rise to prominence has been marked by his ability to navigate complex issues with a calm, reasoned approach, a style that contrasts sharply with the more emotional rhetoric of some of his contemporaries. But behind the measured responses and carefully crafted speeches, there lies a figure who is fiercely determined to reshape the future of the UK. His political journey has been marked by a series of defining moments, each of which has pushed him closer to the centre of British politics. From his time as DPP to his rise within the Labour Party, Starmer has consistently demonstrated his ability to adapt to changing circumstances and political pressures. One of the defining features of Starmer's leadership is his commitment to EU integration, He has long been a proponent of strengthening ties with the European Union and has argued that the UK's future lies in a closer, more cooperative relationship with its European neighbours. However, his position on Brexit has been a point of contention, as many believe that he has been too willing to compromise with Brexit supporters in order to win back the vote of disenchanted Labour voters. This is often viewed as a betrayal of his own Remain position, and it has led to a loss of trust from both sides of the debate. His leadership, while pragmatic, is often seen as lacking the bold vision that many of his predecessors have brought to the table. As of 2025, Starmer's role in British politics is increasingly under scrutiny. His government continues to push for stricter speech controls, citing growing concerns about domestic terrorism and online hate groups. At the same time, the push for greater centralized control over public discourse raises concerns about the erosion of democracy itself. Some believe that under Starmer, the UK is heading toward a technocratic regime, where political correctness, rather than free speech, becomes the guiding principle of public life. His leadership has undeniably shifted the landscape of British politics. From the Brexit fallout to the rise of global governance, Keir Starmer's legacy will likely be defined by his attempts to balance personal freedom with the demands of an increasingly interconnected and polarized world. But in this ongoing struggle, one question remains at the forefront. Will Starmer's version of progressive politics bring unity, or will it fracture the nation further, leaving a legacy of division and disillusionment in its wake? By the way, don't forget to hit like and subscribe button. Also, write us in the comments what you think about Keir Starmer. We'd love to hear your thoughts.